Welcome back to Day 8, as well as the beginning of Week 2 of the Course in Mastery. If you're a recent subscriber, I welcome you to Mastery TV, and I applaud your decision toward creating a better future. Today, Tom Wood is going to talk to you about the important skill of listening, and Dr. Tony Alessandra is going to give you concrete tips on becoming a better listener. Here's Tom.
Thank you, Coral. This week is about communication, listening, influencing, negotiating, networking, the skills and strategies to building an incredibly successful life. Great communicators do great things. Think about it. Jesus, Muhammad, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King Jr., all incredible communicators. All did amazing things. The level of your communication is the level of your life. The skills we're going to teach you today and this week can literally change your life forever. But you've got to be serious. You've got to take notes. You've got to take action. When we give you tasks to do them. Don't just watch Mastery Television. Participate. On to today's lesson, how to listen. I was on an airplane from Washington, D.C. to Boston, and an elderly gentleman came up to me and said, "May I have your seat," which was an aisle seat, and so I could sit next to my wife. You'd have to take a middle seat. I was brought up that you do nice things for people when they ask, especially elderly people, and I said, "Sure, not a problem." The man then turned around and said to me, "Son, let me pay you a compliment. You remind me of a good friend of mine, John F. Kennedy. You have the same graciousness, charisma, and I just want to say thank you very much. In fact, I wrote a book about John F. Kennedy, and I'd like to sign it for you." I was stunned, of course, feeling pretty tall. I asked him if he could just say that part about John F. Kennedy a little louder. No, I'm just kidding. But I was really impressed. He then went on to tell me an incredible story about John F. Kennedy. When John F. Kennedy announced he was running for the President of the United States, he invited a few friends over so they could celebrate with him. Even though it was his day, he greeted his friend, Ken O'Donnell, the man on the plane, by saying, "Ken, you're wearing the shoes I bought you 2 years ago." That was a horrible John F. Kennedy, but I tried anyway. He looked at him and talked to him about something he did for him 2 years ago on his day. You see, this is what made John F. Kennedy special. He loved people. He loved them so much that he listened to them all the time and remembered everything he could about them. That's what made him a great communicator. If you want to be a great communicator, you've got to learn how to listen to people. Listening is a lifelong process. It's something you want to study every day for your whole life. Today's clip is from an expert in listening and communicating. Coral's going to introduce it to you. Tomorrow, you've got to stay around. I'm going to teach you the most important skill in the world. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Tom. Today's clip is from Dr. Tony Alessandra. Tony is a communications expert and the author of 14 widely published books, as well as a master of what he calls the Platinum Rule, a variation of the Golden Rule which simply states, treat others as they would like to be treated. Today, Tony is going to give us an acronym for 6 steps we should follow to become more effective listeners. I think you'll find it helpful. Here's Tony.
When I talk about listening, I use a model, course I call it, C-A-R-E-S-S. Now I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but I'll just give you a thumbnail sketch here. C-A-R-E-S-S. Those are 6 steps that we should do to be more effective listeners. And I'll tell you, one of the greatest gifts you can give an employee, a loved one, a child, is the gift of effective listening. Here's the 6 steps. C, concentrate. You cannot listen if you cannot hear. That's the key. You can hear and not listen, but you cannot listen without hearing. So you have to concentrate on what the other person is telling you, blocking out everything else that's going on around you. And I'll tell you, a good exercise is in the hallways here, when there's a lot of people around, walking by, saying hello, try to carry on a conversation with somebody and concentrate. And not carry on a conversation like this. Oh, yeah, oh, hi, how you doing? Yeah, and the other thing, oh, hi, yeah, I'll be with you in a second. And block everything else out. You ever notice in a movie when there is a person and scenery behind that person? When the camera focuses on the person, what happens to the scenery? It blurs. And then when the camera focuses on the scenery, what happens to the person? It blurs. Figure and ground. That's what it's called. Figure, ground. Focus, blur. Believe it or not, you can do that with your ears. You can do that with your ears. You can focus on one person, blur everything else out. Or I'll tell you, how is it that a parent in a playground with 100 kids can hear the cry of their child above all the other noise? Think about it. Focus, blur, figure, ground. It needs practice, but when you get good at it, I'll tell you, it is an incredible skill. I know every so often, I was having dinner with Jim Cathcart last night. There was a couple seated next to us having this real steamy conversation. And I was trying to carry on this conversation with Jim, but one ear was over there. And we all do that. We all do that. But concentrate. There's a concept called hitchhiking. Hitchhiking. The ears follow the eyes. The ears follow the eyes. Wherever the eyes are looking, that's where the ears are going to initially pay attention. Which kind of brings us to the A. The A is acknowledging. Acknowledge to the person that you are in fact listening. Show that you're listening. And you tell me, what is the one thing you look for more than anything else? Eye contact. And that's that hitchhiking theory. I'm sure you have had this experience at least once in your life, especially if you're married, at breakfast, Sunday morning, reading the newspaper. I'm reading the newspaper, my wife is talking to me. She said, Tony, put the paper down and listen to me. Put it down and said, I am listening. I heard every word you said. Yeah, what did I say? And then I repeat it back, and she gets even angrier, like I was playing a game.